about, I want to say, okay, if the zombies on AMC have more personality than the person who you're putting up for election, don't do it. As long as they're better than that, you should be able to put them in office. And as long as they're not, running around smoking crack, doing lines of coke. Yeah, we won't talk about the guy in Florida. But yeah, watch for the skeletons. Make sure he has a personality. Sheep has a personality, whatever. But as long as it's not Brand X, the Democrats, you should be able to put him in office. Because, they didn't vote for Obamacare. Which, that's the other thing that was coming out today. Yeah, it would be a good idea to push off another date post-election. Now, people are starting to panic, some in the GOP, because, people might not know how much it's going to cost them. But the funny thing is about insurance companies and businesses and, capitalism, they plan ahead. Quite a while ahead, actually. So the Democrats don't quite get this, which is a good thing, because at least in this administration, the Obama administration has no idea how business works. And that's a very, very good thing, because they don't realize what the heck happens when a business sits there and decides, okay, what are we going to do for the next 12 months, 24 months, 48 months? You get the idea? They have a business plan. They have a budget. Unlike the government. And they live within it, because if they don't, they go bankrupt. And that goes for, little Joe Blow business and also big giant insurance companies. Insurance companies have people who sit there and crunch numbers and try to figure out how much it's going to cost to do this, that, or the other, no matter what it is. And all that Obamacare is there are mathematicians' fun days, because they get to sit there and try to figure out what the heck this is all going to do to their system. And honestly, they're trying to figure out how much money they're going to rake in, because that's what's going to happen one way or another. Even though they're going to be taking in a lot more high-risk people that they would normally avoid, the whole pre-existing condition thing. Because you see, Obama made them promises too, whenever it came to the business end of all of this. I mean, he doesn't know about business, so it's a raw deal for the government. But one way or another, the insurance companies are going to come out all right. You won't hear Obama admit that, because Obama thinks that he's got the good deal. No. One way or another, they will get their money. And one way or another, they're going to do something that Obama does not want them to do. And that is, they are going to put out their forecasted rates for insurance for the calendar year 2015, somewhere around August. Now, granted, they're not going to go really public with them. They're going to go to their existing clientele, whether it be, businesses or individuals, because, that's the way you do business. The people need to make their budgets, and August actually is really pushing it. So, at the very latest, it will come out somewhere around in August. So, what's going to happen to the election? That Obama thought that he was saving by pushing this requirement beyond the election day? Oh, I don't know. The same damn thing he was trying to prevent in the first place, because he didn't want anybody to not vote for his friends, the Democrats, in the midterm elections, because of the sticker shock from what he is starting to figure out is going to be the reality of his precious little program. And that is that he has way too many people signing up for Medicaid. That means he doesn't have money coming in. And the only way that he was going to be able to make everything affordable was if people who weren't sick, weren't old, and needed more medical attention, as long as all of those people, the young people who are generally well, started paying premiums, they could carry it all. Well, the young people aren't signing up because the young people have a clue about stupid things like personal information on the internet. And they realize, hey, wait a minute, the Obamacare website won't work. And the latest thing is, if you turn on your television in any state where you do not have a state exchange, you're starting to see insurance companies advertising their product aimed at young people. Yep, you heard it here. Young people and middle-aged people. They're saying, oh, we have individual plans. Please contact us. We'll give you more information. Doing an end run around what? Obamacare! Selling direct to the public, like they've been doing all along. And the irony is that more likely than not, because, I haven't had a chance to go and pick up the phone and call in and figure out what all these fun rates are. But I'll make a little wager here. But I'm willing to bet that the rates that you get if you avoid the whole Obamacare BS and just go directly to the insurance company are going to be lower. Because, it doesn't cost the insurance company as much, and actually it is all pure profit, and they don't have to deal with any of the governmental BS beyond what they normally did before Obamacare. Because, the Obamacare thing, that's the bad part for the insurance companies. They get more paperwork. But that's assuming that, they buy it through the exchange. But what happens if they buy it direct? Because there's nothing in the law that says the people can't do that anymore. So, stupid things liberals do. You don't know what capitalism is. You don't know how it works. It will come back and bite you. And that brings us to another little piece of interesting news out of Pittsburgh. The Diocese of Pittsburgh beat out the Fed when it comes to Obamacare. They are not going to have to pay for whatever they don't agree with. At least for the moment. They're still going to be in court forever. But they've won this particular little hurdle. They won one case. It will go on appeal. Because, the federal government is annoying and they're not going to let them get away with that. Because, they must make an example of the evil religious people who are, radicals. Because Christianity and Catholicism. But for now, the Diocese of Pittsburgh does not have to pay for birth control or abortion. Yay, diocese. But it raises an interesting issue because, the Diocese of Pittsburgh still has a hand in, at least as far as I know, legally, in the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, or medical system, UPMC. Which is an insurance conglomerate and a medical system that encompasses several medical facilities throughout the Pittsburgh region, including St. Margaret's and Mercy hospitals. So I'm thinking, so the old Catholic hospitals still have, well, I know definitely at Mercy Hospital, the Sisters of Mercy still have a hand in the management of that hospital. So, in some way or another, it is still considered a diocesan property, even though it is managed by UPMC. So I'm wondering how deep that goes, and whether or not Mercy is actually going to not have to provide certain services like, birth control, and, they don't provide abortion anyway. But UPMC has another facility not very far away that does, so I think they've gotten away with any arguments that anybody has had because of that fact. UPMC is UPMC. Who gives a darn which building it is, especially when they're under, 8 miles apart? About 3 minutes tops between one hospital and the other if you're in the back of an ambulance. So I don't know. It will be an interesting thing to watch because whether this administration likes it or not, Pittsburgh is not really that odd whenever it comes to cities, particularly north of the Mason-Dixon line. We have a lot of medical facilities that were founded by the Catholic Church. And a lot of them have maintained their ties with the various dioceses that are involved with the given regions. They still have people on their boards that are leaders within the Catholic Church. And, well, let's be honest, the Catholic Church doesn't give up property very easily. So even when they have a hospital that, like Mercy, where they had desperately needed funding, which was why UPMC stepped in the first place, even when they're in dire financial straits like that, they still tend to be very, very particular about who they let in to help them, and they try to keep from giving up complete control, which is why it's really rare when you see a previously Catholic hospital go and be renamed to something, secular. So we'll have to see how it plays out and keep an eye on it. And I hate to say it because, I'm not the hugest fan of the Catholic Church, but I like to see them win. But I think we need to go and move on to something a little bit amusing. I came up with a interesting little audio file. It's a bunch of political gaffes. And maybe you will or maybe you won't recognize all of the voices on there. But it's all pretty much amusing, whether you could recognize who they are or not. Here we go with, 10 most awkward political gaffes.
My State of the Union, or my speech to the nation, whatever you want to call it.
Our national interest ought to be to encourage the best and the brightest.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
Recently, I received a letter from Masayasu Okumura. Oh, damn it.
Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
We're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
It is just wonderful to be back in Oregon, and over the last 15 months we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
You gotta love Joe Biden. Can't get much more racist than the whole, Indian in a 7-Eleven statement. But NJ said something in the chat a little bit ago. Diocesan. I can do it. Wow. That's frightening. But anyway, we've been having such a fun time locally with politics and everything. I'm desperately trying to avoid the other locality that the other state that I typically know what the heck is going on in the news because I have no choice. Because, Taylor. I'm trying to avoid the whole Texas thing because, there was stuff going on in Dallas and I promised people that I wouldn't talk about that. I promised myself I wouldn't. But, I'm trying to remember here.